Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. You're watching Dude Ranch DIY. My name is Jake. I just got home from work and it was nice out when I got home, and in about 10 minutes the winds have started to pick up and it has started to drizzle. But I got home to the firewood stand out by the road being half empty. We have sold 2 loose stacks and 3 bundles like in the last 2 days. So with these cooler temperatures that we've been having, people are starting to buy the firewood because it makes more sense to have a fire outside. Doesn't make much sense to have a fire outside in your fire pit if it's 96 degrees out. So I just loaded up a IBC tote that I've been pulling from. It's mostly ash, really dried, been split and seasoning for like well over a year now. I've been using it to restock the firewood stand, so I'm going to bring that out to the front. We're going to restock it quick, and then depending on what this weather does will kind of dictate what I get into this afternoon. You know, I don't know, it's not too threatening right now, so I guess we could split some firewood, which was kind of my goal. So let's go restock that stand and then we'll see what the weather does. So as I'm bringing this out here, I actually have another tote that I've been pulling from that I've kind of mentioned in the past. I've been pulling from it and just kind of leave it out here because it's in the direct sunlight. It's almost completely empty, so I'm actually going to put this fuller one down and restock what I can out of this tote. And then if we have to, we'll pull from this one after this one's empty. There we go. There's Gus and Louie. Yeah, it doesn't look good. Skies are pretty gray over there. Blue over here, but hopefully we can get this loaded up quick. Okay, so we got the 2 loose stacks full. I can go put this IBC tote back. We emptied out the other one, and I just got to go run and grab 3 more bundles, and the firewood stand will be back to fully stocked. I am going to talk a little bit once we get it filled back up just about how the stand's been doing and run some quick numbers by you guys, but all in all, the stand's been doing great. So guys, as the rain continues to come down much harder, I gotta grab 3 bundles here, but I just wanted to quickly discuss the firewood stand and the sales and how it's been doing thus far. I put up the stand just before Memorial Day, so it is now the end of August, or approaching the end of August, so May, June, July, August, about 3 months, and in those 3 months I have sold about $400 worth, a little shy, $400 worth of firewood out of the stand. Both bundles and loose stacks. It's kind of weird. It seems to come in waves where people will buy a bunch of bundles and no loose stacks, and then I'll come home and a bunch of loose stacks are gone, but nobody's touching the bundles. So I'm not really sure if, you know, what that has to do with. Honestly, I just think it's pretty random, but I think that now moving into the fall, I think we're going to start to see more people having the campfires and stuff like that out on their, you know, fire pits, on their patios, because this summer has just been so hot for so long. in the 90s, which is kind of unusual. Not super unusual, but just the length of heat that we had was pretty unusual. So I think firewood sales are going to do pretty well in the fall just for recreational use. And I have gotten quite a few, probably like 5 new clients as far as bulk firewood sales go, just because people have stopped, looked at the firewood stand, and saw my little note that I have posted up next to the money box stating that if they do want larger quantities of wood, that it is available. So they email me, and I've done some deliveries that way. So all in all, super happy that I did the firewood stand. It's more than paid for itself. I think I had a little under $200 invested in it between all the hardware and paint and stuff like that. But yeah, all in all, it's been a great success, and I've really enjoyed coming home and looking at the firewood stand and just, you know, the whole process. So thumbs up in my book. Let's get these bundles. Now, despite the rain we've been having, these things have stayed nice and dry thanks to the IBC tote and the lid that I put on top of them. And the best part is they continue to stay dry once they're in the stand, because that thing, the roof on it works really well. When I initially built it, some people were saying that I used the wrong types of sheet metal screws because they didn't have the rubber gasket on them, so water was going to leak through the holes. I mean, be that as it may, whatever little water droplets might drop through whatever hole happens to be, you know, or gap happens to be, I don't know. It's like the minutia here we're talking about. So long story short, the screws that I used are just fine. The wood stays dry even in the heaviest of downpours. If a couple drops gets through, it evaporates the next day. Like I said, it's been so hot, I've had no complaints. So firewood stand is nice and waterproof. These bundles stay nice and dry in their IBC tote specifically for the bundles, and everybody's happy. One of the problems of living out on Main Road, there's always some trash out in my front lawn. But anyway, firewood stand is restocked, and it looks like the rain is kind of letting up. So let's go try and split some firewood. All right, guys, so this is where we left off in the last video when it started to downpour and my splitting session got cut short. But I cut up all of this oak, and we got about half of a large tote filled up here. And I ended so abruptly due to the downpour that I even left some on the sorting tray. So I'm going to fire up the splitter, let that warm up, get this remaining stuff stacked up into the tote, and then hopefully we can keep chipping away at all of these oak rounds here. Then after this oak, it looks like we have some more oak, actually, a couple more oak logs, and then we'll be into the maple and ash and stuff like that. So plenty more wood to split up, lots more totes to fill. So all we can do is fill up one tote at a time. You know what they say, a tote a day keeps the doctor away. So let's go. Well, all right, guys, we got a very full tote of really nice oak. I did leave some airspace. I did throw some pieces in the middle there, but I also did leave some airspace in there too, just because it is oak and I'd like it to dry out as quickly as possible, as I don't really have enough room to be letting a bunch of totes of oak sit around for 2 years to dry. That is why I split a lot of this smaller. I did leave some larger pieces in there, as you can see, but I did also split it down pretty small. That way, hopefully, it'll dry out sooner than later. Some of these pieces, when I was cutting them, had ants in them. You can see there. There's some more hollow there. The pieces that, the few pieces that did have ant damage to them, like this, as you can see, has some pretty severe ant, canals or whatever you want to call that. I've just been throwing all those pieces into this IBC tote along with my cutoffs and shorts, because that's the stuff that I plan on burning this upcoming, winter or whatever, whenever it's dry. I have a couple of totes of these around the property that I put in strategic spots that get a lot of sun once they're full. That way it just helps it dry out a little bit quicker. So I am going to label and date this tote, and then we can go move it over into the row of drying, and then we can grab another tote. And it seems like the rain has stopped. The sky is blue. The sun is over there. I keep feeling raindrops, but I think it's all just blowing off the trees. So until Sarah gets home and tells me to stop, I'm just gonna keep going. So let's cut the chit chat and keep going. So one thing I do have to keep in mind is that now that I've been getting these larger 330-gallon totes, the tractor is pretty much fully revved up, and it's just barely picking it up off the ground, as you can see there. We maybe have like 3 or 4 inches. So granted, this stuff is green and very wet considering it's raining, but the Kubota L3901 does pick it up. It's very stable with all the ballast I have in the big tool rack. This thing weighs about 300 pounds in and of itself. I have 250 pounds of suitcase weights, and then, I don't know, I think like 400 something pounds of sandbags in the back underneath all this crap. So, the tractor does pick it up, not all that high. Hopefully it'll pick it up a lot higher once it's all dry. Another tote in position. Let's get going. Well guys, that is it. We got all that split up. The only piece left is this one, and I attempted to split it. It's a gnarly crotch. I attempted to split it a couple times with the single way wedge, but I wouldn't go, and I just didn't want to take the time to keep at it. I'm sure it will split eventually. I just need to figure out the right angle. It's kind of awkward because it's like wider in one direction than the other, so it's hard to stand up. But anyway, we got another more than half full tote over here of all oak. A couple of the pieces were super anty and like filled with ants, to the fact that like I just ended up chucking them over here. There's two over there. When I split them open, they just poured out the ants. So I'm just gonna let those sit for a while. I don't want to potentially infect my firewood with ants, but the other pieces that had ants in them, I chucked over here next to the tote for a second, but I just moved them over to a more contained area in here. They just, you know, had ants. You can see there's ants crawling on them and stuff. So that's that. That is pretty much, well, no, as I'm looking at the pile over here, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 smaller oak logs that are like 10 inches and smaller in diameter. It's probably like limb wood left over. So I'll get those split up. Those should definitely at least fill up this tote that we were just working on, and maybe and then some a little bit. But yeah, that's good. I'm glad I got all this oak split up. It's been like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks since it came down, so in my book that's pretty good. And we're gonna start making a lot more progress on this pile as the temperatures start to cool down. Added a bunch of short, you know, pieces and gnarly crotch pieces to my firewood inventory, so that's always good. So all in all, it was a productive afternoon, and it's gonna wrap up the video. So as always guys, if you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. Haven't done so already, click that subscribe button down below. It would really help the channel out. Questions, comments, or feedback, throw it down there in that comment section below. But for now, I'm Jake. This is Dude Ranch DIY. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you here next time.